No, we haven't had this problem with that before, but
No,
like I said, maybe with an update,
yeah,
it did something.
That's what anybody. That's good, we can't see things. Oh, no. Everybody, all right?
I think the screensaver is blocking the actual screen, the Zoom screen on the.
With the labs, we have 100 grand carried.
Laurie, can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay, can you see us?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so we just can't get it on
All
the
right.
screen for some reason.
thank you.
Thanks for coming. Good.
Let's do this without dropping it. Come right up by you, John.
Just Lori, Mark and Mike.
Yes, but Mary is here. Okay. So yeah, ignore that.
To get started, for all of you online, I think you can see us. Feel free to interrupt us. We're not able to see you on the big screen, but we can see you on the laptop screen, so if we miss your raised hand or any other signal, just feel free to chime in. Welcome to the September 8th meeting of the Water Advisory Resources Committee. Take attendance. Will. Here. George. Here. Ruth, Mark. Here. John. Here. Mary is here in the house and I'm in here. Still looking for Lee if he is. All right, so we're gonna start with the report from our consultants. Mike, I know you're online and who's here, a lot of your information tends to overlap, so I'm gonna let you two both handle the back and forth rather than kind of go kind of play traffic cop here. So if Lou, you want to start?
Sure, I'll start with the water resource recovery facility permitting. We last met with DEP in a workshop on August 5th. I'm sorry, on August 19th. Next meeting is Tuesday, September 23rd. We continue to make progress with DEP on the permitting of the Bayberry Hills Golf Course for groundwater discharge. We've submitted an irrigation memo that demonstrating how much surface water that the golf course would utilize from the water resource recovery facility, and also how much potential groundwater could be discharged at both the driving range as well as amongst the golf course through a combination of leaching basins and subsurface disposal systems. So we presented an alternatives analysis to DEP as well, evaluating the different type of disposal technologies that we are proposing. And we have now submitted a draft pilot test scope of work. So the intention is to go out and install 2 large diameter leaching manholes and actually fill them with water and measure the rate of infiltration, so that could be used then to design the rest of the system. So we're making progress with DEP. They're on board with the site, and that pilot test will also be utilized to finalize the hydrogeologic evaluation that DEP requires. Moving on to item 2 in the progress report. The water resource recovery facility construction is well underway. And if you have been to the water department site at 99 Buck Island Road, You can see a lot of the site is still under earthwork investigation. They've driven sheeting around the largest aspect of construction. Those are the sequential batch reactor. Basically the part of the treatment plant where will be treated. They've excavated down to the base elevation and they will begin installing what are called soil anchors. So they're augured anchors that are then filled with a piece of steel and then gravity, and that's what's going to hold the basins in place as the groundwater rises. The infiltration basins, 3 of the infiltration basins are completed, and some of the headworks building, the concrete has been poured, the foundation work is completed, so they are making good headway on that. There are a number of value engineering options that the contractor has presented. The town reviewed and accepted approximately $85,000 worth of credits so far. There are a number of other credits that are still out there that are being evaluated as cost savings measures. I think we mentioned that last meeting that there was a layer of organic material encountered in 2 of the basins that had to be removed. So that's the subject of a plus change order that we're going to be seeing. So the credits are important to help reduce cost of that change order. Moving on to the collection system. Mike, I'll touch on any highlights and then if you want to chime in as well. But with contract 2, most of the work on Route 28 has been completed. They've been doing some additional testing of the sewers on 28 to finalize that work. And the last thing on Route 28 will be the final trench patching, which is expected to begin on September 29th. And we were advised by the contractor that it will not be one continuous pass because DOT is requiring that the final patch be put in various layers of different types of asphalt material. That they'll be doing a section and backing up and redoing that section and backing up. So they kind of wanted to more or less warn us that, you know, their businesses there might see them pass and figure it's all clear and then they're going to be back the next day. So it's going to be multiple passes to get all of the different types of asphalt completed in that section. You also may notice that work has recommenced at the pump station site by the Pancake Man. So that work is proceeding on pump station at contract 2. And then some work on Old Main is wrapping up. They're going to be doing the Old Main sewer line on Old Main is completed. Now they're doing the service. Contract 3, the party is over. We've had a breathe from the work on contract 3 over the summer, but the contractor is back working on South Shore Drive and also on Route 28, testing the sewer on 28, doing some work in the manholes, and then they'll be commencing paving. They're anticipated to start sometime early next week with their paving contract. We're actually meeting with DOT this Thursday to review the paving, the final paving, trench on 28, contract 3. I don't know if any of you have been on South Shore Drive, you know that the Middle Beach parking lot is starting to store material again and clear up the pump station site, install what's called a FRAC tank for the dewatering system. Some of the paving has been installed.
So, just a question on paving. What would be the westbound lane? Pretty much the length from Parkers River to Bass River. I can understand that needing to be repaved in Toto to get it back to the original surface. The eastbound lane has laterals. Will, when the repaving is done, will the eastbound lane be completely resurfaced or will it just be where the laterals are?
It'll just be where the laterals are. They have to cut back 1 foot in addition to the trench, but it's not a complete repaving. It should be noted though, in most of the area on that eastbound lane, there's also gas that's going to be going in starting the end of this month. So as part of the gas project, they will be resurfacing a whole lane. So while the sewer project doesn't completely resurface in the area of the laterals, just a permanent trench patch, the gas at the completion of the installation and the settlement period, we're doing a whole lane width for what is most of contract two.
Is that gas line go to the parking to the bathroom?
No, most of contract two, not for the contract three portion.
Well, that's a new main.
It's a replacement of the main that's in there, right?
Like,
Lou, so does, or maybe Jeff, so does each contractor for their contracts responsible to provide the repaving, or is that one contractor that's doing all of it?
The contractor's responsible, so in some
So they
cases,
pass it on.
they're subbing it out, in other cases, they're doing it themselves. There probably will be an overlap when you're both working on 28 at the same time. Knowing RB hour is planning on starting September 29th. Be about a 2-week period when just contract three will be working from Willow towards Parker's River.
So
Go ahead.
on the timeline, so the westbound side, let's say for conversation, by the end of 25 will be pretty well complete, whereas the eastbound side, the work in the settlement process, that will go into 26 before it's,
Only where that gas mains work is happening.
I guess, and that is from where to where again?
I could get you the exact location. That's again, not a part of this project. That's something National Grid is doing. But I do know that it's most of the contract too. I think maybe it stops at Pond Street or something like that. So it doesn't go quite to the end. But it's a significant portion of
I was gonna
contract.
say a couple of miles, 2 miles.
Yeah, mile and a half.
Yeah, okay.
So just for clarification, can we use north and south?
Well, since the road runs east and west,
Right, but the north side of Route 28 or the south side of Route 28, just to give everyone a coherent visual. But just to put in perspective, we did this about 10 or 15 years ago. And on large parts of the town. So when they do repave, after they've replaced the gas lines, they repave the southern half of the road.
A full lane, the full southern.
And there's only, excuse me, our contractors are, in this case, will be doing the north side of it. So kind of will have a brand new road, hopefully they're fitting together. Like at the seam, even though it's 2 different contractors repaving them at 2 different times, give or take, or similar times.
It could be the same contractor at different subcontract. Works.
Oh, it will work, it will have to work, just sort of anticipating the community's response to paving the north side and then repaving the south side after they've opened it up again. It's not just the laterals, having over the trench going east to west on the south side.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back over.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about having a contract 5 in the near future. But this amount of activity might require a contract 2 meeting as well in South Providence. We'll talk about that when we get to it. So you were now,
Just so we're clear, there's other areas of Route 28 that need the gas main replaced as well. And we've been pushing National Grid to do it in advance of the sewer work. Whichever sewer contractor would prefer a brand new gas main to work around versus one that's metal and leaking. But we have been unsuccessful to date, getting them to do the work in advance. This is gonna come up again for contracts 5 and 6.
And on contract 4, so contract 4 is essentially completed from water and sewer. But MassDOT has the contract to place the bridge. Part of that work is the other utilities.
Yep.
So it's gas and I believe Verizon is.
Yeah, I think there's a component of almost every utility that has some amount of work in that area.
That's anticipated to begin sometime in November, I believe, Jeff.
Yes, November 1st is the date, I think. Yeah.
So the good news on contract 4 is MassDOT has waived the responsibility for them to do the final patch there. Because they're gonna come back and completely rebuild the road for the limits of contract 4. That's saving the town about $300,000. Asphalt that would just got torn up. Other utilities.
So read through anything else on 2, 3, and 4?
Mike, do you have anything to add that I may have missed?
No, literally, good job. The only clarification I'll make is on contract 4, as we've talked about before, that only included the sewer as part of the town project. The water work will be done as part of the MassDOT roadway project. So just clarification there.
Okay, thank you. In contract 5, do you want to listen?
Just to make sure everyone is okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4 questions before we move on.
As far as contract 1 goes, I still have a source working on too. Really, so.
Yeah, we're waiting on power.
Yeah.
So, using generators on this.
But they were out working poles. That's good.
Okay, so moving on to contract 5.
Mike, do you want to take 5, please?
Yep, sure, Lou. So contract 5, if you remember, bids were opened back in June. Diggett from Dennis, who is the low bidder. That contract was subsequently awarded to them. We had a pre-construction meeting a couple of weeks ago. They have started submitting their shop drawings to us for our review and approval. Based on the last meeting, it seemed as though they were shooting to start construction probably sometime in October. That might be a little bit ambitious. It's all going to be a function of if they can get the shop drawings approved and materials ordered and mobilized to the site. But best case scenario, it's probably late October construction start for that contract. And then contract 6, similarly, Diggett was the low bidder when we bid that project about this time last year. As you know, that contract was not awarded to them due to issues with one of the pumping stations included in that contract. So that's still ongoing. And the town will be making a decision at some point on whether to proceed with trying to execute that contract or rebidding it based on the new location of pumping station number 2.
And just to go back to contract 5, they've indicated that when they do start, they're likely to start at the beginning of at this section closest to Parker's River and work their way west, southwest. But that's the deepest section. It probably will require a road closure for a portion of the road to get shallow enough. But they will be they do have to pave every night. So every night they close the road during the construction portion and then be off the road every night, anticipating using the pump station site at the drive-in as one of their staging areas.
We answered both of my questions at the same time. So we're not going to impact the drive-in site except for the area out front that would have been the bus station.
Well, there'll have to be some coordination because there's ongoing work on what they're calling phase 2, which is the bathhouse there that Robert Hour is going to continue to need access. So there'll be access coordination needs to happen there, just like every other business or driveway through there. So it'll be, one day it might be from the west and the next day it might be from the east, but it will be ongoing construction to drive the site meeting coordination.
That may have been the wrong phrase. They're not gonna be utilizing any part of drive-in site for contract 5. However, we are doing work on the drive-in site that will need coordination with the contract 5 work is being on with.
Yes.
When will the new park actually open? Public?
When they finish the restroom, it's a little behind schedule at this point, but sometime early winter is the estimate that they'd be completed with that at this time.
Will they open it if it is winter? I mean, as opposed to holding it to later?
It really has to do with when Robert Hour is done with the project and we can sign off on that. We typically don't close parks in the winter time, even though there's not a lot of use.
And what about the lateral under Parkers River?
That's part of contract 5.
That's part of 5.
Right.
Will that be going on simultaneously? The bore pipe, the horizontal drill under the river?
There are time restrictions on when that can happen when the museum is not open. So we have not received a schedule, a final schedule, or even an indication of when that part of the work will happen from Bigot. To expect to see their schedule, they said the end of last week, so hopefully it's this week sometime. But I doubt that it's gonna be this winter. It's really a very narrow time frame of when they can do that work, again, when the window is closed. So it's likely to be a year from this winter.
Oh. Does that take place all off the highway right away?
Yes.
So starting contract 5 at Parkers River means in October, they'll be opening the road basically from Parkers River to South Sea Avenue, if we take. Or Higgins Croll, and I'll use those synonymously because those are the two bail in or bail out points for that construction.
Higgins Kroll is the end of contract 5.
I'm sorry,
It's the extent of.
Winslow Gray. It's been this, I have the same dyslexia with those two roads for 30 years. Winslow Gray.
That's for Western.
Right, but if you're sort of coming down the road, you're saying, all right, we're closing Parkers River. Closing the first couple of 100 yards, next couple 100 yards, and then you're hit South Sea Avenue, then you hit Winslow Gray. Yeah, West Yarmouth was right next to it, but that being the first indication that something's happening on contract 5 this October.
Right, and it'll be slow going because like deep sewers take a while to get to the target.
Like after Columbus Day,
Yes.
this looking out for the boys on Route 28 on long weekend. And the Seaside Festival and the fireworks at Seagull. So maybe we're not disrupting the road until after the first weekend in October.
That's what it's looking like.
Okay,
We don't have a schedule yet.
no, I understand. It's just kind of thinking out loud, maybe making a suggestion. We're not quite there yet, but we're thinking there's supposed to be a contract 5 meeting with the Route 28 property owners in the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, September 23rd at 10 o'clock. That's what we said. Similar to the other meeting that, no.
Okay, so this is when it's really gonna come up. When are you guys starting on Route 28 again? On this side of Parkers River. And I didn't say it, they would say the same thing, can we start after Columbus Day?
Yeah, Dig Construction will have representatives there that will talk to the schedule, answer questions.
Okay, just to complete the thoughts, it's also town hall.
Yes, to hear.
And you've engaged, we're engaging the chamber to publicize it. And are we contacting property owners directly? Contract 5.
We'll work on publicizing that. I don't know. We have already contacted them directly. Ryan Chase has done that. So he's already completed that contact with everyone. I don't know that he's gonna go back to contact them about this meeting specifically, but we'll make sure that they're aware through our regular channels for advertising meetings as well as the channel.
Any questions on contract 5? Do you wanna? Question on contract 6?
Quickly, rebidding contract 6, definitely.
I think Mike said it best, it really depends on the location of the pump station. Still working on multiple options for that. And so that doesn't mean it's a done deal that we have to rebid that, but that's a distinct possibility depending on which one of the locations gets selected.
On the locations that we're looking at.
Multiple.
Multiple. More than one.
Yeah, not authorized to say much more than that.
Well, I'll ask the question for David. Okay. Is they gonna require additional regulatory or review, like Conservation Commission?
Yes, the short answer is yes.
So you'll be one of the first to know.
How exciting.
Anything else, Luke?
No, I think the last page is just the schedule, and then some of the 3-week look aheads are attached to show you the various activities of each contract, so. That completes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Mike, you want to add anything?
No, Mr. Chair, I think that pretty much covers the collection system. Thank you.
And your next meeting with DP happens to also be on the same day, the 23rd. But you guys aren't planning to be at the 10 o'clock meeting?
No, it's 9 o'clock.
9 a.m.
Yours is 9.
Yeah.
You do this online?
We do.
Yeah. We're doing the contractor at 10. Just curious if you guys are available.
I'm available.
You are. Yeah. The reason I asked about DEP is our permitting is ongoing.
Correct.
Right.
And they're reviewing multiple documents.
Right, so as the project progresses, so does the permitting process. I just don't want to be caught in a place sometime from now when we have a project without a permit. Not enough of a permit.
So the intention of Bayberry Hills is to permit volume of phase 1, which is phases 1, 2, and 3. And what the water resource recovery facility is currently being designed, constructed. Approximately 1.8.
I was over there, doing several work at conservation with the 3 ponds. When I talked to the person who's in charge of the Bayberry, we're only pumping into one of the 3. Or we haven't decided yet.
It hasn't been determined yet. It'll probably be multiple, and there will likely be an enlargement of one of the ponds to accommodate the volumes.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Pretty significant margin.
Do you know which pond? 3?
I don't know what hole that is. It is.
There's one on the
Probably, it's
lake.
probably the southernmost on that site.
It's 4
Irrigation pond. Yeah, it's probably around there.
Well, the other 2 are close together. So one not to go over, one is just off. But that's okay. The other one of them is full of duckweed.
Okay.
I can walk across that.
It will be pretty shallow. I think that was in interest. We're working closely with the Gulf.
The duckweed is already getting water from septic. Septic treatment.
Right.
So it might be the other one.
And that still has to be determined whether it would still go into one and then overflow into the
Oh, okay.
other, but those things have to be worked out.
So I'm taking away a lot of plants that are not native. We approve it.
There will likely need to be some reshaping and obtain the volumes, make sure that things are benched properly. They're looking at all of that.
So moving on, public safety communications. Town took a couple of meetings recently. wanted to prepare the bus company and or other transportation related businesses to the fall schedule. Something that Jeff and Ryan were sort of instrumental in, along with Bob and the selectmen as well, so that we had an opportunity to meet with fire, police, and anyone who was interested in what changes or issues could be addressed prior to construction starting up again. We've also, in a different configuration, met with some of the property owners who were affected by contract 2 up on the old Main Street section to sort of take into consideration what construction was doing to some of the older, more historic buildings and particularly in that district, Bass River. So we're collectively doing the public outreach and a public intake various levels to make sure that we're minimizing the amount of disruption to the community as the project goes forward. In that same avenue, we've already mentioned contract 5 meetings coming up in September 23rd. So anyone who's directly impacted by the next contract in phase 1 will know what's coming and can express their concerns. I think we're better prepared at this point after a year of construction to do the next 2 contracts, to move to the next 2 contracts, but still it's a constant level of communication. You just, I think, have to be out there all the time. Anybody want to add to any public safety issues that we haven't noticed or coming up? It's been kind of quiet, right? We've been down for a couple of months. Anyways, for a financing discussion, item on this agenda has been on sort of as a placeholder for a while now, but I got a couple of requests from committee members that we start addressing what finance is going to look like for future phases, which logically means what it might look like for phase 2. Probably can't do it today. I just want to get some consensus on everybody wanting to move forward with that discussion. So we address it next meeting and subsequent meetings. What I'm referring to is that before we embarked on phase 1, we put together the financial plan to pay for it. We identify the revenues and even earmarked revenues that were coming into pay for those. This is the first basic project. At some point, the town's going to have to start looking at that for the future phase. And albeit early, because we're still in the middle of phase 1, it might be behoove us to start thinking about how we would go forward. For me, it allows us to answer certain questions we're getting from the public around cost. It also will clear up what parts of the financing scheme that we came up with the first time are no longer available, and to what degree we're going to be able to utilize them for future phases. If I'm laying it out coherently, I'm looking for a yes, we should do this, or maybe not.
Absolutely.
I think the conversation has to happen in 2 parts. Some kind of a timeline. Now that we're digging in the streets, people will phase 2 will see themselves as next at bat. I haven't found anybody that I've talked to that isn't interested in hooking up tomorrow, if there was a way that it could be done. So whatever could be done to dovetail as soon as possible, once we finish phase 1 in an operating system, I think that should be an integral part of the financial conversation. Because if we can do that and have the rules ready to go financial plan, so that we're not encumbered by we're figuring out how to finance it, therefore we can't start construction. Hopefully we get by that. So put that on the table. with an enormous amount of interest in.
So
Let's get going.
I would like to suggest, we revisit the phase one, financing scheme. So that we are familiar with how we are doing this phase and then kind of come to grips with, that's the starting point, for how we would be looking at future phases. I'm sure it's gonna look a lot different. It's not possible to recreate the same financing scheme. Again,
No, that money's already spent.
it's earmarked.
And I think one of the big issues for phase two is before we started any of the phases, you know, there was that general plan. And that's got the number of houses and where they are. Phase two. I keep hearing a lot of talk that people want to change phase two. And if you change phase two, that changes who's in it. It changes where they are. And those are going to be significant issues to figure out what the revised financial plan is going to be.
Mhm.
So I think if you guys are going to start talking about changing phase two, that's your starting point. Who's in?
Okay,
Where?
I'll ask you a couple of different ways. Yes, that would be one variable for what the next scheme looks like. But at the same time, we should be looking at the same sort of pie chart breakdown of how we pay for phase one. For example, 15% of it is betterment fees. What's that gonna look like for phase two? As reasonable as 15 or more likely 30, or is it going to bear the brunt of the cost of collection system for phase two?
And of course, it's gonna be, well, it's gonna be much higher, and don't forget that the phase two doesn't include the cost of the plan. So it'll be similar, if you attribute the cost of the plant to phase two, then you'll be in the same ballpark, but if phase two is just distribution, you're gonna have a higher percentage
No question.
of that in betterment.
No, I understand completely. I think that's one of the arguments we were making at the time to bring in other revenue streams like short-term rental revenues, because we're talking about the general facility, and how to pay for that, which will be shared by all future phases as opposed to the current phase, no doubt about it. But when you say 15% in the abstract, what does that mean? In real dollars and cents, if it moves up to half of the cost, what is that dollar and cents? That's going to address what was missing, I think, from John's point, which is, yes, they're eager to go. They just don't know if they're eager to go at what price yet, because it could be.
Well, that's why it's
Big number.
important to get
Let's
the
get going.
financial pro forma on the table so that people can react. They may not be if the cost was absorbent, but my suspicion is that people realize that this is something that's gonna have a cost attached to it. I think they see it as a betterment to their property, so I'm not sure that there's a tremendous resistance to some increased cost. We need real numbers on the table so people can see what it is that they're being asked to do.
And it's gonna take time to get those numbers. So if we start this fall, and by next fall, have real numbers. That was the consensus I wanted to get to on how to go forward. Next item was public meetings. We're obviously talking about September 23rd. We also have another item on our agenda for October to try to understand what the freshwater initiative from the county, Baycott Commission is about. David has arranged a time for that meeting.
Yeah, September 18th.
October 16th, I believe.
Who told you that?
Still, John, I was fond of printing out everything that comes to me. And
I thought I was told it was in September, our second meeting in September was the 18th.
yeah, I didn't think they could meet that quickly.
It was 30 October, so it's like you will meet again.
Yes, I think that was the meeting that the commission chose based on what the Concom has given them as options for meeting dates.
Yeah, with,
Obviously, we're not there yet, so we can get that. Speaking different.
Whatever, it'll be the first thing on the agenda, and our meetings begin at 5 in the hearing room. It'll be the first thing on the agenda.
Right, there'll be reminders going out for all that stuff.
And there'll also be Zoom.
And with that, there's probably, well, we're still discussing when and if we would be doing another public meeting. Kind of how we would describe it as a senior center meeting. When we came out of the meeting with the selectmen last month, they concurred that it's always better to have more information out there and more opportunity to engage and get feedback than less. So they were encouraging of our going on having a public session. Trying to get it done in September might be ambitious, doing it in October, possible. You guys want to get it done before November town meeting?
You're asking for any money in November?
No.
But I think we're looking to schedule something like that. Yeah. I was looking back at this fall of 2022 and we did our tour of 4 meetings around town. We're not looking at a full tour. I think we're just basically looking at the one-time availability. Folks can come in and ask the type of questions we're getting. Sort of one by one, and even hearing the concerns for, we have Brian now doing a lot of that for the committee. That's one-on-ones. There'll probably be some neighborhoods that want to engage us, ask us where the project is, how it's moving forward, and where they are in the larger scheme of things. So those are the 3 kind of public meetings coming up.
I think that kind of question we have to have the answer to before we have a meeting. I mean, you can't have a meeting where all these people that want to know what's next, and we don't know.
Yeah, no, we're doing it. Just mechanically, I'm gonna try to go out in the fall and have this opportunity. We did a full series of these before the project even started. We had no meat on the bones at that point either, but
I think people are expecting meat on the bone now. I know my neighborhood is.
What's left? We want to add or anything else to whatever else has been brought up here today before we start approving minutes and things like that.
One thing I just want to float out there. Contemplated over time. Our biggest well field is bisected by Higgins Crow Road. And there is an awful lot of truck traffic on that road. Fuel trucks as well as carrier trucks. And I know it's been bantied around a little bit in the past, but I think it's high time we start thinking about looking at the possibility, maybe restrict. We have a spill. Town's got big problems. We've got enough issues already with our wells, the water, so on. So something to think about. And I don't even know what the process is. I think it's needs to be at least right. That issue needs to be at least. So.
Where to where? The Hook Island North?
Yes.
So that makes you nervous.
Well, like I said, that's our biggest draw.
I had similar concerns when I was getting on and off Route 24 from 195 in Fall River.
Hmm.
The lake there
Yep.
is the public water supply for the
Sure.
city of Fall River.
Absolutely.
That one's always scared the Jesus out of me.
But it is a concern, but it is easier to deal with some of those issues on surface water. But doesn't make it right.
Okay, well, it's let's just agree that it's the purview of this group to take a look at it? You guys got some old minutes sent, we had a chance to look at it. Just trying to catch up to. Couple of meetings, minutes that we didn't have a chance to get through yet. We'll take them one by one, in case there's any questions. I have meeting notes from May 5th. Present were myself, George, John, Mark, Lee, David, Mary, Will, so.
I'll move that to approve those minutes.
Since we have no one online, all in favor?
Aye.
The next one would be. Is June 2nd. Present were George, John, Mark, David, Lee, Mary, Will, well, it looks like a year. They're all here.
Same. Move to the
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And last month's meetings. George, John, Mark, David, Mary. Any questions or corrections? That's the most recent one.
So move.
And seconded, all in favor? Thanks. Should catch us up in minutes. Next meeting. First Monday of the month is 6. The holidays the next weekend. Everyone okay with the 6th for Monday? Anyone add anything to the agenda for next month? I thought we've already added. In that case,
Can I just add one quick thing for today, just in terms of public engagement, on the 17th, the planning board is gonna have a hearing on the special town meeting zoning board amendments. So in case you didn't know, or people are asking you about it, 5:30 at town hall, those amendments cover the sales of lobster in a residential district, as well as boat storage. So if you are particularly passionate about either of those issues and want to know what the zoning board amendment or what the planning board amendments are for the zoning bylaws in our town, please attend. And also the local comprehensive plan that you mentioned at the last meeting, the draft is out there on the town website, and the public hearing for that is on October 1st. Also at 5:30. Both of those are regularly scheduled planning board meetings, but if you have some thoughts and some feedback and you want to show up in person or online, please come to either of those two meetings. Thank you. Both of those will be hopefully both of those will be on the fall town meeting. Thank you.
okay, motion adjourned.
So move.
Second. All in favor?
I
Thanks. Nice. You still have this. He's like.
You're right, I don't know.
Hey Mary,
Yes, Bob.
how you doing?